What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this, your brain is actively lying to you? Not occasionally, not sometimes, constantly. Every single second of every single day, your mind is fabricating a version of reality and presenting it to you as truth. And the terrifying part? You have absolutely no way to know when it's happening. Welcome to Mind Atlas. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is going to make you question everything you think you know about your own mind. Let's start with a number that should genuinely disturb you. Neuroscientists estimate that your conscious mind is responsible for approximately 5% of your brain's total activity. 5. That means 95% of everything your brain does, every decision it shapes, every memory it stores, every emotion it manufactures, happens completely without your awareness. You are, in the most literal scientific sense, a passenger in your own head. And the driver has its own agenda. Here's where it gets darker. You know that feeling of certainty? That rock-solid confidence when you say, "I remember exactly what happened"? Neuroscientist Elizabeth Loftus spent decades proving that human memory is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every single time you recall a memory, your brain literally rebuilds it from scratch. And in that rebuilding process, it inserts details, removes others, and reshapes the emotional tone based on your current mood, your current beliefs, and whatever information you've encountered since the event happened. Your most cherished memories, the ones you'd stake your life on, have been edited. Repeatedly. Without your permission. Without your knowledge. And there is nothing you can do to stop it. But it gets worse. Studies on something called the misinformation effect show that you can be made to remember things that never happened at all. In one landmark experiment, participants were shown footage of a car accident. One group was asked how fast the cars were going when they smashed into each other. Another group was asked about when they hit each other. Just that single word change. Smashed versus hit. The smashed group reported significantly higher speeds, and a week later they were significantly more likely to report seeing broken glass in the footage. There was no broken glass. Their brains invented it because a word planted the expectation, and the expectation became memory. If a stranger's word choice can rewrite your past, what else has been rewritten without you knowing? Now let's talk about something called change blindness, because this one is genuinely shocking in ways most people aren't prepared for. In a famous psychological experiment, a researcher would approach someone on the street asking for directions. Mid-conversation, two people carrying a large door would walk between them, and during that brief obstruction, the original researcher would swap places with a completely different person. Different height, different hair, different clothes, different voice. And the staggering result? Roughly half of all participants didn't notice. They just kept giving directions to a total stranger as if nothing had happened. Your eyes see everything, but your brain only processes what it decides matters. The rest is filled in, guessed at, fabricated. You are not watching reality. You are watching a highlight reel your brain curates in real time, and it leaves out far more than it shows you. Here's a question that should keep you awake tonight. Do you actually make your own decisions? In 1983, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet conducted an experiment that shook the scientific world and still hasn't been fully resolved. Participants were asked to flick their wrist whenever they felt like it and note the position of a clock hand when they made the conscious decision to move. What Libet found was that the brain showed electrical activity indicating the movement was being prepared a full half-second before the participant was consciously aware of deciding to move. Your brain decided. Then, a fraction of a second later, it informed you of the decision, and your conscious mind claimed it as its own. Later studies pushed this window even further, with some research suggesting the brain begins preparing certain decisions up to 10 seconds before conscious awareness. 10 seconds. Your sense of free will, the very feeling of being the author of your own choices, may be nothing more than a story your brain tells you after the fact. And speaking of stories, let's talk about the left hemisphere interpreter. Neuroscientist Michael Gazzaniga, through his work with split-brain patients, discovered something profoundly unsettling about how humans generate meaning. When the two hemispheres of the brain are surgically separated, they can essentially operate as two different minds. In experiments, the right hemisphere would cause the left hand to perform an action based on a command only it received. When asked why they did it, the left hemisphere, which had no knowledge of the command, would instantly fabricate a completely confident, completely false explanation. The participants didn't say, "I don't know." They invented a reason on the spot and believed it fully. Gazzaniga concluded that the left brain contains a dedicated system he called the interpreter, whose entire job is to construct plausible narratives for everything you do. You didn't choose to eat that extra piece of food because you were sad. You chose it, and then your brain invented a story about why. You didn't avoid that conversation because of something rational. You avoided it, and then your interpreter gave you a justification that sounded perfectly reasonable. The stories you tell yourself about yourself may be almost entirely fictional. Let's go deeper into the darkness, because there's a phenomenon called the Capgras delusion that reveals just how fragile the machinery of your identity really is. In this rare but documented condition, patients become absolutely convinced that someone close to them, a spouse, a parent, a best friend, has been replaced by an identical imposter. The person looks exactly the same, sounds exactly the same, but they feel wrong. Scientists believe this happens when the brain's facial recognition system becomes disconnected from its emotional response center. You see the face, you process it correctly, but no emotional recognition fires. No warmth, no familiarity. And rather than accept that your feelings are broken, your brain, your magnificent, terrifying story-generating brain, concludes that the person must be a fake. It would rather believe in a conspiracy than admit its own malfunction. The Capgras delusion is extreme, but the mechanism isn't. Your brain is always choosing the narrative that protects itself over the truth that might undermine it. There's one more thing I need to tell you, and I want you to really sit with this. There is something called inattentional blindness, and it was demonstrated in one of the most famous psychology experiments ever conducted. Participants were asked to watch a video of people passing a basketball and count the number of passes. Halfway through the video, a person in a gorilla suit walked into the frame, stopped, beat their chest, and walked off. This took approximately 9 seconds. And roughly half of all participants, people with perfectly normal vision and attention, didn't see it at all. When told about it and shown the video again, many refused to believe it was the same clip. Their brains were so locked onto one task that a gorilla, a literal gorilla, became invisible. If your brain can make a gorilla disappear, what else is it hiding from you right now? What in your relationships, your work, your health, your life is standing right in front of you, chest beating, demanding your attention, while your mind looks straight through it? The uncomfortable truth that neuroscience keeps arriving at, from different angles, through different experiments, across different decades, is that your conscious experience, this feeling of being a thinking, choosing, remembering, perceiving self, is a construction. A deeply sophisticated, remarkably convincing, sometimes completely inaccurate construction. Your brain is not a camera. It is a screenwriter. And it has been writing your reality since the moment you were born. None of this means you are broken. It means you are human. But it does mean that the first step toward understanding yourself, truly understanding yourself, requires accepting that the lens through which you see everything is not clear. It is filtered, shaped, edited, and narrated by a system that operates almost entirely in the dark. This is Mind Atlas, We go into the dark corners of the human mind, because that's where the most important answers are hiding. If this pulled you somewhere unexpected tonight, if it made you feel even slightly less certain about what you thought you knew, then you're in exactly the right place. Subscribe to Mind Atlas right now, because every week we go deeper. Every week we find another corner of the mind that most people never think to look in. The gorilla is always there. We're just going to help you finally see it.